Pedro, Simone, you want to go first?
Okay, that's okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi guys. Hi.
You look very gentle today.
It's already so familiar, yeah. So first,
when you move this way, just stuck there. So you're both in the picture. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna show a video.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the best thing we can do is, John, let me know. But should we shut up the conversation and play the video, or what?
Yeah, I think we can mute the conversation. We probably both have
Or
to
just mute.
and then pull up the video on YouTube or.
Okay. So let's both mute the conversation and play the video on each side. Okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll talk in 5 minutes.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, he doesn't stress at all. Like.
Being a designer means that you should be able to find time.
To make something memorable, it is important to engage the user.
New York culture demands me to always be ready to share my thoughts. Talk less and do more.
Don't be afraid to set your own rules and principles.
Americans first respond to a statement or a question with a feeling. Visiting New York City was like going back home to China.
It is just as rewarding to see your team succeed as it is to see yourself succeed.
Get out of my comfort zone.
Being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Physical meetings are easier, not essential.
Ask small questions. They might look small and basic, but they are the most challenging ones.
I used to think content is more important than the medium. Now I think they are equally important.
Working on this project felt like I was eating a salad. A lot of things got mixed up, it tasted very good, but in the end I didn't feel like I was full.
There might not be an absolute definition to what good design is.
Speaking and writing are as important as designing.
Okay. Hi.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Okay. Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so following to this video, I would like to tell you what happened on our Google Hangout on March 21st, 2014. This is one of our last meetings. It starts a bit hesitant. As with all the topics we've covered so far, the topic of design instinct seems to be a bottomless pit. Stress fills the air. There's only 2 weeks for our final presentation, and the only conclusion we can reach, as sad as it is that we can't reach a conclusion. There's no conclusion. Suddenly, and in the spirit of the project itself, this statement is questioned. Is it good to not reach a conclusion? Why is it so difficult for us? Can there be a meaningful, conclusion-less statement we can make? What's the most honest thing we can say at this point? Then, a true collective aha experience occurs, and a collective non-conclusion is reached. And that is that the value of this project is in the process. By talking about anything that relates to graphic design, agreeing and disagreeing, gaining new insights and ideas, we've had an experience that no other projects or none have given us before. Forcing this project to a one-dimensional end result simply would not do justice to it. We decide to list what we personally found to be the most illuminating things we are now aware of, and we were not aware of before this class. In all the various aspects this project involves, in the field of graphic design and design in general, its present and future, cultural difference, working and co-creating with strangers, coordination and team effort overseas, and so on. All of the things that this project has made us think about. We acknowledge the fact that awareness of this is valuable for us as designers. We believe that knowledge is potential and power with or without its practical end. These units of information will inform new projects as they still leave a ton of questions to answer. In the booklet we are about to give you, we've asked our colleagues here in New York and there in Breda to do the same. Altogether, it reflects the worthwhile experience this project has been. We hope it will serve as a reminder of the experience to all of you, and we're glad to be a part of it. Thank you. Okay.
Almost identical.
Almost, yeah.
Almost.
Someone I want to copy to. Okay.
Yes. That's it.
That's it.
So,
There's no more to say unless you guys want to add something over there.
No, you said it beautifully.
we should have a short discussion. Nico, what do you think? A short discussion?
Yeah, I think there might be questions. A little bit closer, maybe.
Oh, sorry.
Miro has a question.
What happened to your initial idea with, I don't know, the posters, manifestos?
Yeah, the manifestos.
And because it's big, see here, this is so small.
Yeah. Shall I answer that?
Yeah, yeah.
The manifestos were a result, quite a hurried result from a lot of topics that we've been talking about. And after New York, we discussed it again, and we felt that it was a bit hurried and a bit naive, and that the main topic that we wanted to cover with it, design intuition, was not present enough in it. And also, we didn't agree with ourselves anymore. Yeah, we sort of decided to get rid of the manifesto because we couldn't agree to it anymore. And that's when we carried on to different topics, and until the point that Pedro just described, where we could not reach a satisfying conclusion. That's what happened.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was curious because at first you. Oh, that's very nice, thank you. At first you made it into poster. So what made you decide to now put it into a small booklet, and on the other hand, make it into a video? So what were the considerations in this decision, actually?
Did you hear that question? No?
Yeah, I guess this time there was a big awareness on this being a collective experience, which means that it's not only Team 3, it's the whole Greta class and it's the whole New York class. So what we really wanted to achieve, a piece that would serve as a little reminder or a little souvenir, if you will, from the experience we've all had, and that's also why we not only included our thoughts, but everybody else's thoughts, because what we've done, it's put everybody on this project at the same level, so to speak.
Yeah. What I'm curious about is because the booklet seems to be quite a static choice in comparison to your idea of going back to the process and going back to not concluding, and a booklet seems to be a very definite choice, and it seems more like a dot than a comma, for example.
I agree. The video, I enjoyed the video because it had very specific activities as the visuals, but then the audio overlay was ambiguous and inconclusive, and there was something rich and involving about that. Whereas the book, as Kiko said, it suggests a more definitive kind of statement.
Yeah.
And it brings up, of course, the subtext of this kind of course and of design as it exists today, somewhere between solving problems which are given to designers and then designers creating areas of study and investigation to specify problems and specify conditions, and that ambiguity comes through, I think, in the interesting not concluding conclusion.
I would like the small booklet not to be the end. And the things the quotes that are in it make me curious and make me want you to explain more. So please let this booklet not be the end.
We can keep working. But I think
it's good as a video.
There is our essays in the back of the booklet, and in it we do describe it as starting points for new projects. So each statement could have, I mean, will have a follow-up probably. So it might not be apparent, but yeah, we do see it a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the point. I think what we argue is that even if we were not able to say something really meaningful about anything, the fact that we know these things will surely inform and enrich whatever we do in the future. So I think that's the getaway of it. But I do agree that now, and I think, you know, working so fast in this last week, we might have not noticed, but I agree that the booklet itself, it's really definitive. And, and that might have been an unconscious design decision from designers who expect to do a design product. So yeah, I think that that's definitely an area of improvement.
Yeah. We should have left some room, I think, for future next step. And there's no room for that right now in the booklet. So yeah, good point.
I personally think that the experience that they put inside it's already a design product itself. This is how it.
Alessandro, you approach the thanks.
I think that the booklet that you did, it's already a design product, but not because it's a booklet, but the experience inside it's a design product, in my opinion. So it means that, like, all what you did, like how you organize your time, how you organize your ideas, how you organize your thoughts. I mean, it's a sort of designing already, in my opinion. So, I mean, of course, each question could be 12 books, of course, each quote. But I mean, I think it's the best way to, in my opinion, to summarize this experience. I really like the booklet, and the video also was really emotional, but I really like the booklet.
And
I didn't read it all yet.
The accomplishment is really impressive to create both of these artifacts, given the circumstances, is extremely important to capture that in your memories and for your future work. Is quite to make such a engaging video and a book which is also engaging and brings up questions is a big accomplishment.
Yes. Go to the next group.
Next group?
Yes.
Alright.
We have a paper and people put some.
Yeah. We took a selfie. I got a hangout selfie.
We should post it.
I do this for you later.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
I see the plugin right there.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Come right up, and then if you want to share something, share what's on the.
Probably will. Did you see my face? Oh no, back it here.
Good one.
Yeah. I'll show first.
We show first the. Sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to do the same.
Okay.
We are first going to show you a short video, and in this video we will show you what we eventually came up with this, which is more than a concept than a design product itself. Afterwards, after the video shows this concept, there will also be a voiceover with a short explanation of it, and in the background you can see our process of our blog, and afterwards, we shall
explain the rest. So I think we should mute on both sides the Hangout so we can watch the video. Yeah?
Both sides?
Yeah.
Okay.
So click here and mute. There should be a, yeah, just click the mute button.
Capture your ideas. Judgment-free doodle zone. We don't create anything, we organize something that was already there. So I just thought loud I never really trusted. This is probably the reason I'm still looking for it. We are performers, philosophers, writers, artists, engineers, and entrepreneurs. We're not free. Designers are chained to empathy. All is fair in design, all. Design is my visual response. The sentence doesn't make sense. I tried to be the opposite. But New York knew. Opposite is where the landscape and the perspective are missing, and the shapes of the people are present. We are space travelers lingering on Mars. We dare to lead. Risky and dangerous, or warm and comforting. All in the perspective. I don't know. It is just a matter of staying above the fray. I'm a vegetarian, nothing more. It is not just a product, it is not just an innovation, it is not about the tools you use, it is about what you are creating. Content versus creation and being part of the process. Working hard, working harder, it is meant to be readable and understandable. It is a series of personal information. The unclarity of the image made me think of things reflected towards us. The elements we can discover by looking into the details. Too much information. Us making things, the other side. You can love one thing and secretly wish for the opposite. Coffee and cigarettes. The way back should always be different than the way there. From human to object, from wild to static. Time is your friend. Keep track of yourself. Back to the basics. If you have to overcrowd the visuals, then it's time to go back to the drawing board. We are on top of a mountain, at a park, in a cinema, at a shopping mall. We are from New York, Guangzhou, Breda, Tokyo, Delhi, and Rome. With light you can see, but with text you will understand. Black and white. There is something between me and you. It's just something we don't understand. We moved all the time one step further and 2 steps back. Just to be polite, but I don't really like it. Work with the minimum, design first, color later. It is not just the creativity you've been longing for so long. It is the risks you fear to take. The circle. Everything around me inspires me. We drink coffee, we listen to music, we could be heroes just for one day. Utensils versus clay. When our ideas need to grow a mold, zoom in and zoom out. Top, top, top. Stagnant. Try something new.
Our project is characterized by a lot of layers of understanding. It's about the idea of contradiction. We turn around the design principles and they continue to work. It is one of our starting points, turning around opposite. Design is mainly composed of text and images. The text along with the images could be considered a sort of primitive and really extensive vehicle to communicate a message. It could be specified in principles, but it cannot be explained entirely. We need to show the context through the text and relate it to the photos. But how? As we previously thought, the book is one of the oldest and best media to use to express our idea and concept. You can open it anywhere and skip from one page to the other. Every spread will be a concept. Every concept will be connected with the next. Every spread is a principle, and every principle works also if it is the opposite. Design is the engine of our daily routine. We are designers of ourselves. We are part of the design process, even if we are not aware of it. The multi-voices aspect is presented and it ties all the different aspects. One completes the other. This book aims to present a concept, and not simply be the output of a concept.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Well, I would like to ask everyone if you have questions.
If you want to look at the book.
Yeah. So I think the biggest step we took since we last saw each other is that the thing that really stuck was that the opposites are more important than the design principles itself. And yeah, we really want to, on top of that, we started to make visuals about that, and we want to respond to each other with an opposite visual. And yeah, that's the biggest thing that we changed, because it was more important to think about it and not saying it is like this, that, and explaining that.
So we start to, after we collect all this picture, we decide to create the concept was already there, and the best way to explain a concept, and was also adding text. So I used the two fundamentals aspect of communication, text and photos. So we wrote a text, a multi-voices text, where everyone would write a couple of sentences, and altogether will make this no-sense text in a way, but at the same time really meaningful, where there is really the voice of everyone in the group. And they are related with the photos, as they are also not related with the photos, but they are all related to the main concept. So it's also a way to see all these phases of the concept, that it's, in this case, it's the opposite, and it's related to design, but design is such a broad, so broad. Pardon?
I said, like we summarized it in the video, I guess. I guess I was thinking, should we ask if people have questions, I guess, based on that, I guess, go forward.
Yeah, do you have any questions? Do you guys? Questions?
I have a question.
Which are not directly related to your text or words, right?
Can I answer to that question? Well, we post one image. First of all, one person start, and then with your first feeling and your first impression, you post the second image. Like, so it's your personal feeling. You write a sentence or two about what you think about it. So it is related to previous image and also to your own image, like.
But in an opposite way.
Yeah. Yeah. Each image is like mirrored to the other one. Like
my question was like, there's no logical relation to.
Yeah, there is a logical relation.
No. So you. I first of all is like a.
Restate it.
Yeah. Can you repeat the question?
Or you have to be louder to the.
Say to them.
Can you repeat the question? They didn't hear you.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I mean, so now my opinion was like your design principle is opposite. Opposite is your principle of the words of what you are taught, and this book is about emotional way to explain the feeling. There have no logical related.
Well, the logic is that we use opposite text and image also. That's the logic of the book. Because you see, for example, you have the water. You have the water, and then you have the fire. So they're like opposite. And then what's your feeling towards it?
Then the meat.
Yes. It's every individual his own personal feeling and idea about it. So that makes this book our multi-voice.
But then I have a question concerning that, because you first came with the design principles and reacting on that, or opposing these design principles. So really, in a way, sticking to rules or statements or really principles. And what you're doing now is going, well, maybe quite the opposite, in that you are working with emotions and intuitive responses to certain images and to certain texts. So how does that connect to these basic principles with which you started?
I can answer, but maybe.
Do you want to answer?
Do you want to answer or?
Link is answering.
Okay, well, to respond to that, I think what we also found out when we opposed these principles is also what, I think it was George who said it, that making your own principles, it's not like all these designers are holy, you can invent them themselves. And I think also with these books, what we are trying to do, some things look kind of absurd, or what Jing said, not logical, but that's also the intention, because we also want to make the viewer think about it, that they think, okay, this is strange, but it doesn't have to be like this is saying it, it should be like that.
But what are you making people think about? So what do you want people to think, or what's the direction you want people to think?
I think that my feeling about this book and what's the project that we create is like we have different personalities, we have different feelings, and we want to bring this all in one book. We didn't want to have like the postcards that are separately, every one had his own vision and idea. So making visual and directing from one picture to another one, and we connect our ideas in this way. And also using the text, for me, when I read it, it was like, because we first wrote it on the paper, it was just like a poetry somehow. It's abstract maybe, but it is, yeah.
And as you already said, moving from principles to this kind of product that at the end is just like a vehicle to explain a concept, is already the opposite. And principles are not enough. I mean, there are not enough principles to explain something that is too complicated. And this is already a way to, I mean, I would like that people would be aware of that fact, that you need rules to look through something, but you should feel quite free, as is free this book, to find a relation between one photo and the other one inside the text. It's like it's the text remind me somehow the futurist text, but they are more referring to the sound in this case, but also with the content. So it's thinking of what you're reading, and also if you at the end you say, okay, it doesn't make sense, you already found something, you already thought, and your final ideas doesn't make sense, or you find something and you will jump to another topic. And this is also quite connect with the title. The title is a Latin expression, and was used to especially. Could I explain that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. And was a Latin expression where there was something happened and solved the plot of, in this case, in a theater play. It just solved the plot without any specific reason. I mean, there was no connection with the rest of the story, and it's sometimes happened also in our process. So that we just create something that would solve maybe the problem before, and it's a sort of leitmotif that you find quite often in design. So this is.
Maybe there are some questions on your side also.
George wants to say something.
I've just got one. It seems like this is kind of an exploration of sort of visual communications and sort of like what the interpretation or different interpretation of visuals, which I really like. And I guess my question is kind of like, is there a next step to this project? Because I feel like the book is really nice and the printed copy is really nice, but it would be a really interesting platform maybe to see how other people, like what other things people see in images, or what other things people like within, given like only a few characters to sort of answer, like what do you see in this image, or what is the opposite of what you see in this image? Maybe on sort of like a blog or a platform, because it seems like there's there's something we could learn from what images make us think, or looking for similarities and differences in the way we see images.
Yeah, I agree. I like the idea. We didn't think about that at the beginning, but that's something that we need to we could do to improve this project. But I think when we are doing it, it's a little bit more personal. We didn't think in the perspective so much in the perspective of how the audience will interact with it. But
I think you came to a level of finish that was similar to the first team that we saw today, in that it was a very impressive package and production, and it was a frame for, and also a frame for further iteration, in that the audience expects both a way to participate in what they see, but they also want to have some kind of an authorship or point of view. It doesn't need to be very heavy-handed, but it needs to be a point of view. And of course, the trick was the multi-voice essay suggests multi-voices. But since we asked you to present it as one 20-minute presentation, then our expectations as an audience are for a point of view. It can be a very thin point of view or a very heavy one. And I believe that sits behind the first presentation and this one as well. Like, we would love to be surprised, or we would love to learn about a new point of view.
Okay. So you mean that for example, for each image or sentence, give some more suggestion to the audience to go a step farther, or?
Well, out of all of everything together, there is a meta personality that be further articulated. So we expect, even designers are expected to have a personality. It may be hard to detect sometimes, but the personality of Jonathan Ives and what he makes for Apple, it's very clear.
Okay.
And so forth. So designers and the audience who consumes what designers create and that they simultaneously participate in, they expect a personality. In this case, you've got all of these voices, but out of those voices, the next step, if we had another month or two, would be to say, okay, what is the collective personality point of view that has emerged? And I felt exactly the same way with the first project. You know, it's a very positive development. It's new for this experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think also what George said about this idea and the book that we have, that we can use it as a platform, and we can also ask people what they are thinking about our visuals and our statements. And I'm thinking if we want to make like a multi-voice project, then other reactions towards our feelings and our visuals, then it will make it complete if we have also reactions from outside of our project. Like
maybe it could open like a website where people could upload images of what they think are the opposite, so that other people could participate.
Yeah, it's kind of like we did, but make it open source.
Yeah. And make it continuous.
So the package that is created always ends up having a personality, and then you can influence that to a large extent. But if you think of Facebook, it has a personality. It's different than Tumblr. It's different than Instagram. They all have personalities, even though within them are millions and millions and millions of different voices. Mm-hmm. So that's, in a smaller way, that's exactly what I experienced here.
Okay, yeah.
Next team. Take up some questions.
I think they're gonna have it up on theirs.
Yeah, we're gonna have it up.
Because they have to put this.
Daniel, why don't you sit in where Ananya is sitting? Or you can sit on George's lap.
No. Hello, everyone. Hello, group 2.
Hello.
Long time no see.
My More or less.
All
Okay,
right.
you guys ready?
Do you guys have the website up?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Do you?
Yes.
Yeah, we have to use
This almost. The right size.
Yeah. Sorry, what did you say?
Almost there.
Okay.
Is that okay for everybody in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Am I in the screen?
Yes. Yes.
The lighting.
Yeah, are we still visible because we put the light out?
Say that one more time.
Dark. Are we too dark, or do we need more?
Yeah, fine. It works. It's fine. Yeah.
You want to see us too much.
I don't think we're seeing Amelo. Can she come in a little bit in the frame?
Umbrella?
Yeah, that's good. That's better.
Okay, perfect. Should we start? We each click on the introduction page.
Yeah, we're already there. Way ahead of you.
All right, so.
Okay, I'll start. So we continued our conversation about content and medium, and we came to a statement. If the content is strong enough, it can live on any medium. This statement got us thinking about the future evolution of content. And then we started looking at how any content could become digital in the future. Even content that you wouldn't necessarily expect to be digitalized. How would, for example, emotions, behaviors, and other everyday scenarios be able to be digital? So, exploring these aspects of daily life and how they might exist digitally will help us to understand and make sense of our future selves and our actions.
In the future, we must design our products and our experiences in such a way that they will be able to understand us from the inside out, existing as an extension of us and adapting to our needs. Not just quantifying what's on the outside, but helping us interpret what's on the inside as well. So, if the content is strong enough, it can exist on any medium. So we created an open-ended hypothesis stating that in the future, blank will become digital. So each of us visualize our own interpretation of how everyday things might become digital. George.
I'm clicking to the next page. Are you guys there as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. In the future, tears will become digital. In the future, our wearables will be made of empathetic fibers that continuously gather and interpret different types of data. These fibers will be able to measure a user's serotonin and dopamine levels, helping people make sense of their emotions. In this case, these sunglasses are a sensor for your body and an interface for your environment. Collecting data on why and when tears form can help us learn how to be more empathetic as individuals and as a community. I'm clicking the next page.
And could you please play the video?
And we're playing the video.
Yeah, so I think dreams will become digital. Well, at least I think that would be very cool. New techniques will allow us to measure brain activity in a way that our thoughts can be recorded. Those recordings can be reproduced and translated into text and image. Therefore, the mysterious worlds we explore during the night will be available for us to revisit when we're awake. Dreams will be documented. With a special dream-catching device that is worn on the head while sleeping, dream data will be collected and stored on your phone, tablet, laptop, or other device. When awake, your dream recordings will be ready to be read and seen digitally.
Thanks,
All right.
Well, I think in the future our memory will become digital. Our memories will become data in the cloud, which people can experience again, or we can save this data memories to other people. And this kind of memory will include not only the visual memory, but also the sensory experience. And those two posters will explain this idea. For example, when I travel to New York City, I was I will store this memory into the cloud, and this piece of data will include the place where I have been in New York, the events in which I took part, and the feelings I experienced.
Okay. You guys ready for the video? You'll have to.
Yeah, our sound is off. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's just a minimal soundtrack. It's not gonna sound that much. Okay, so in the future, bad breath will become digital. Social hygiene has always been somewhat taboo amongst colleagues and friends. It's never So, taking this abstract and socially awkward topic, examining how this content will become digital in the future. So using the aid of nanotechnology and microsensors, will detect plaque and bacterial buildup in the user's mouth. The communicators would then transmit data to a wearable device or mobile phone, alerting them. You should hear the soundtrack.
Nice. Clicking the next page.
Yes.
Oh no.
Okay. Well, in the future, taste will become digital. Taste, like other senses, is something that is difficult to explain in words to someone else. Taste will become more tangible in the future through sensors that are placed in, for example, your palate, under your tongue, or your nose. These sensors will be able to detect, register, and measure every taste receptors in the nose and in the tongue. The sweetness, sourness, saltiness, and bitterness. When thinking of particular food or looking at particular food, these sensors will be able to enrich your memory through adding the stored flavors. Also, tasting food without actually eating the food can be a possibility. Seeing a slice of apple pie fills your mouth actually with the taste of cinnamon, apple, and raisins. This personal database of flavors and impressions is stored digitally and can be shared with other people to communicate how a particular dish tasted like. If you can scroll down. Yes. Yeah. Next.
Nice.
Yeah, the next page.
Next page.
All right, so in the future, the sense of touch will become digital. In the future, based on the nanosensor technology, the gloves actually could collect all the data such as temperature, humidity, the feel of the surface, or the quality of the material. This data could be stored into the cloud and downloaded to each pair of gloves. And if you ever want to touch something that you don't have access to, the glove will simulate that material right to your palms. So in the future, maybe instead of staring at IKEA's catalog book, with those gloves, you could actually touch and feel the material without stepping out of your home. So the content will be the sense of the touch, but the medium will not be limited by the different materials.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, so in the future, everything is going to be measured, where we go, what we eat, who we spend time with, etc. But what do we do with that data, and how do we use it to evolve?
Understanding how technology will shape our future and imagining what that future will look like and how we can create it is essential for the designers of the future. We as designers should be prepared to work across a rapidly evolving landscape in an ever-changing field. So we're moving to the next page, we created this platform and we invite the internet to upload their interpretations of how everyday life things will become digital in the future.
And that's our presentation.
Thank you.
Oh. Princess. Ah.
Nice. So do you guys have any questions you guys want to ask?
Any questions, guys? Well, I have a question and a remark. I really like the way you present it. So really having your each your own small page with your bit of text and imagery. So that was really nice, and I think it was also really nice that you all had something to say in the whole presentation. So hearing the voice, seeing text, and seeing the image, I really liked. But why did you choose to make it so linear? Because it's now clicking from one page to the other. And I think, especially in what you are saying, it's not linear. There's a lot of futuristic ideas and a lot of innovative ideas. But then how you tell the story is quite basic, from one point to another and going to another and going to another. Couldn't there have been more all over?
Yes, no, that's a good point, and I think we talked about a couple different formats for how to present it. I think we came to the conclusion that sort of this platform would be best just because of sort of the constraints that we're working with, to make sure that we're clear for across the computer with ideas. But you're right, because we're talking about the future, I think there is an opportunity to sort of expand the narrative and be less linear.
Yeah. Thank you. More questions?
So, I really enjoyed the introduction of humor. That was a high point. It really breaks down all of the other impediments that we may have. Very impressed with the scripting, the fact that it takes enormous coordination to script such a thing and to have it come off flawlessly. I love the concept in the future blank will become digital. I would have loved to have seen even more exploration. Like once you've gone to tears, then what are even more unexpected kinds of possible experiences that may be digitized, or can we even find another word, since that word itself has become as old as as all of the people in the room except myself.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. We were talking. We came. I think we were in conversation, and we realized that there was sort of analog before digital, and we're sort of in this digital place now. But what is that next thing going to be? And that's an interesting question. Anybody else have something to add to that?
I would add that we can only kind of work with the things we know. The tools we don't have yet, we can create with them. So I guess that's why we chose to be digital, right? To do digital.
And I think that's part of the reason that we put up an open platform in the end, to gather more interesting ideas based on that.
Right. And I think it's a level of familiarity with everyone. We're kind of familiar with certain mediums. We're proposing something unexpected. This concept where like it's somewhat forward thinking. So that's the reason why we kind of chose this platform first.
But since you reached this point, and I know it was not easy to get here, you could have introduced a few more wild cards. Like, let's just open a dictionary and point to a word and see what that's like. Let's go to Google and say, in the future, blank will be digital, and see what the search, what comes out as automatically adjusted terms. There are so many. You look at whatever is the #1 pop song and take words from that. So there are so many other systems that could be introduced. You've come a long way to leave aside some of your caution, but there's still an enormous amount of caution in where you ended up with.
Right.
I think it mattered if the categories were general or was it specific. I think when they're specific, then you can have specific examples for it. Like, for example, the tiers versus taste, or that's a broader category. When you have something more specific, you can give a more skewed view.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You could begin with tiers and then go 3 or 4 or 5 levels into tier.
Yeah.
Happy tier, happy tier, your sad tiers.
Yeah. Tears of joy, tears of disappointment, etc.
Yeah, we did a separate object because then we thought it would be like more of a personal choice for all of us to like think of something you think it's interesting and then work it out instead of doing one subject and divide it into what's left for everybody. I think that's why we chose the more generative. Yeah.
I think that was part of the. Looking at it from sort of the methodology on how we sort of came to the decisions we did and how we worked as a group. That was sort of our area of self-experiment, for lack of sort of a better phrase. Like each one of us was able to come up with those ideas by ourselves and sort of examine what that would look like without the sort of input from everybody. And then we talked about it collectively. But I think there is a lot of a system would be interesting to implement in sort of just delving further into looking at what will become digital in the future.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. The first presentation, our statement like if you are the media, what's your content? But now we are building our content to a different media, so it's quite also it's like experimental design, but it's also put our view, our designer role to think about this. Also have our own perspective, but to more experience the design. Experiment.
Right.
So I suggest that we open it up to everybody to talk about the process of how you arrived where you are, and any other anecdotal information that however silly or serious it may sound, that we can capture now, since this is our last meeting for the moment. So let's open it up to talk about the entire process, the entire 13, 14, 15, 20 weeks or so. And the rest of you, feel free to. Peter, you had something to say.
Hi guys. Yeah, I was just. Yeah, hey team. I was just.
How much time that? It's 5 after 8.
Oh, how much time do you have over there?
Much time.
Yeah, we have enough time.
Okay. Yeah. I was just commenting before. I was telling Tom how we were texting each other this morning and almost unconsciously continuing the discussion, even though this is over. That was really funny because we already knew what we were going to present today, but even more questions were arising, and we kept on discussing unconsciously. And yeah, and also I was telling him, for me personally, at the beginning of the project, it was really hard to work through this medium of Google Hangouts, and really hard to understand all the different accents through this medium. And that even at a physical level, I would say that I've changed in a way, because it's much more easy for me to communicate to this medium now. I think my brain has sort of adapted to the medium. So I draw that also as a conclusion from this project. I think it's also meaningful. And yeah, that's my thought. Anybody else wants to say something?
Yeah, I can also say something. For me, it was also an interesting experiment to have this way of communicating with New York students. It is difficult because of time difference also, and we have different backgrounds. We come from different cultures, but it is good to have this experience because you are prepared for the future, for people that you can meet in the future, that they are different than you are. And yeah, you try to have a project with them. You try to understand them. They try to understand you as well. So yeah, for me it was also a very nice experience to work with you, and to meet you all, to be there. It was also very amazing. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would also say, and Tom always on this side, he always encourages us to not be polite. And I think that's also been a great achievement, because it's hard from the very beginning to not be polite and to tell what you think right out, and you try to be a little bit, concerned with what others are thinking. I think another great achievement is removing that barrier of politeness, and how politeness gets in the way of doing something meaningful, and how you have to be sincere and honest and tell what you think at all points. And I think in that sense, our group at least has changed a lot throughout the project and has made things way quicker, way easier. And it's also reason why I think there's something meaningful we were able to present today.
Yeah. I think it's, for me, it was a whole different experience, especially also coming to New York. And of course, the year before that, it was also that Tom came to us with the students, and the year before that, I'm not even talking about that. But for me, it was a whole different experience coming to New York, because now it's for me also easier to understand and easier to grasp your environment and the context in which you are working. So that was very good for me. I love the fact that this keeps on, well, getting better. It's just getting better. So I'm really proud of all you guys in working together so well.
Best of.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dana says it's getting better. This is the best of, but that's no.
At this point.
At this point, it is, yeah. But I think it is very important at a certain point to make sure that you get it clear in which part you don't agree with each other. So be very explicit in what you think about things. And I think these kinds of projects, you need to trigger yourself or to force yourself to be very clear, and you need to be clear if you're communicating in this way. So that's what I take out of it, and that's well, I'm growing bigger every year from the pride of doing these kinds of projects. So thank you.
Thank you.
The contradiction is, of course, that the fuzziness of the tools promote a kind of brutal communication and to some extent an impolite communication that works best.
Yeah.
But then, as Kiko said, at the end, like this, or at the end of this phase, it's important then to see the necessity for very carefully choosing your choosing the argument that you want to make and the expressing what you understand about the world and what you understand as a designer, which may be different than Pedro's or mine or someone else's. And combining those two is enormously powerful. Is that the ability to put together a very sophisticated series of presentations, which, as Kiko suggested, is light years beyond certainly 4 years ago when I started, and even it feels like a decade compared to last year, that the level of sophistication has grown and the level of polish and the level of communication has grown so rapidly as we have understood and forced ourselves to learn this language, that at the same time you want to now uncover that piece that I thought was missing from most of the presentations, which is that personal argument to do with some sub-piece of the general topics that you all chose.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also want to highlight the way how fast or how quickly we kind of adapted as like colleagues and friends. Like we actually developed like meaningful relationship with each other. And I think that was very like interesting and a nice perspective to it. And I hope that after the hangout we keep in communication. Like it's interesting to hear what the group would say after. I think our group were considering like meeting up again just to see what it's like and how is it going and as a group. And I think that would be very interesting as a progression too.
Related to that, I would love to hear some of the things that Kiko started speaking about, which is how you changed after your trip here, whether it made a difference in your studies and what you think about your direction, etc. And the same for our group. Now that you met them when they were here for a week in person, what that was like, how that has changed you, how that has given you perhaps some other ideas about where you're going to be moving in the rest of your education and beyond.
Yeah, I would say I was just thinking about this after sort of just thinking about our presentation just now. It seemed like working after we got to meet in person. Our group was really pretty polite, which was nice. We tended, like when we disagreed, it seemed like people were polite and like welcomed that. But it seemed like once we met each other, we were quicker to sort of put our feelings aside, so we could really say whatever we wanted. It was getting to the point, making sure we started really working together. It felt like. And I think, like, I learned a great deal from this experience, more about myself, I think, in understanding when to sort of take a breath and listen, and then also, like, what points of mine that are important enough to be said and for me to sort of go after within a conversation. So that's just my personal reflection. Team 2.
So after you guys visited New York, I feel like I know my team members and some other people more personally, and I feel like that I understand you more, and also knows everyone has their different background and specialties. So I almost wish it's the final presentation of the project, but I wish it continues in somehow. Like I feel like I almost wish it's not the end. So keep in touch and and more collaborations. So, yeah.
To me, communication throughout the Google Hangout is more like a new language to me, although English is new to me as well.
Speak a little bit louder, please.
Sorry, can you hear me now? Yeah, I was saying that the communicating with the Google Hangout with you guys is more like a new language to me. And although English is pretty new to me as well, but it's been a great and fun time. And I still remember that the first time you guys came to New York and Meryl met me and tapped me on the shoulder. And it's more like old friends. So it feels great. And just want to say I've learned a lot from this. And you guys are great. Thank you. Thank you.
Someone else. Yeah.
For me, when we started this project, I didn't know what to expect at all. I was a bit cautious, but actually with all the communication services that we used, I think there were about 10 maybe, it wasn't messy at all, actually. It went quite well, and I had a lot of fun during the Hangouts. I think we had a good time, and yeah, like Pedro said, as time passed by, we got a bit more impolite to each other, and it made for a better result. And yeah, it was tough at times, but it was also a lot of fun, so I think in the future I will not be so cautious anymore. I will be more excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
For me, I want to say that because for our team, I feel like we are really we are polite, but at the same time, we're really open to each other. And I still can remember that we choose the typefaces for hours, to choose the typeface. And especially at the end, I feel like we work really closely. And also, just before this meeting, we still discussing whether to add the music or not into the video. And we kind of have a new style of discussion about the design, how to design things, and it's really a good experience. And I really wish that we could we can in the future work again. And if you guys want, yeah, it's really great.
Yeah. I also think that after the torture of doing philosophy for 5 weeks, the design part just came so easy. It was such a relief to talk about typeface. Yeah, that was the best part. Talking 3 hours about typeface, that was just great.
Never get bored.
Yeah.
I would like to add to George's part that it was not only that after we met in real life that the politeness went away, but we also understood each other better because we knew more about each other, and we could see how what your education is like, and what your teachers are like, and how your school looks like, and then that really made a difference for me personally, to see who you are and why you would come up with the kind of arguments you did. So yeah.
Right.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what Merel just said about seeing how your education is made it a lot more understandable, and it was also an eye-opener to see, in what kind of different way you could also do it. And I think the most challenging thing I found about the whole project was it was really difficult to go into depth. But I think if because of the communication, of course, but I think if we will do something like this again, I will be more prepared about doing so, and I think, it would be good if you do something like this again. I think you already learned a lot from doing it once and how to communicate, and I think it will be way more efficient to do it in another time. Oh, and Pedro.
Hi.
Hi. Are you still coming to the Netherlands?
What?
What? You said you were coming to the Netherlands.
Oh, of course. Tom is going to pay for my trip next year.
Okay, that's great.
You're
going to be the assistant.
Nobody else. Not even him. It's only going to be
okay,
me.
Well, send us a message then we'll meet for another beer.
All right.
Okay.
The summarized conclusion I have is two slight contradictions. One is the enormous importance of creating a micro ethos between yourself and the people on the other side of the screen. You have to spend an enormous amount of effort to make an ethos, which is like a little mini culture. And we've just reached that point now in the last week or two where you can say, oh, we have a culture, Team 1 has a culture, Team 2 has a culture, Team 3 has a culture. We have sort of a culture now in the two groups together as 18 or 20 people. And boy, that is hard, and it is something that most professionals do not understand. I have a client now, it's a fashion client, and they here in New York, and they have all of their manufacturing done in India, and they have never spent the time to do this, to actually make this ethos together with their Indian factory. And they have enormous problems, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars of problems because they've never done that. So on one hand, you have to do it. This is like getting married in a sense. You've got to really be in for the long haul. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of ambiguities. There's a lot of parts that are not pleasant. And then on the other hand, at the same time, you have to celebrate being strangers. You still are strangers to some extent with your different pieces. And you celebrate that. And then we just started to see that happen in the last few weeks. You made the ethos, and then you start to probably see now, I mean, maybe just today, maybe just the last hour, we see what else could go on. More subtleties, more contradictions, more complexities. So you've got to remain strangers, but at the same time, you have to create that microculture. And it's truly the first time in the 4 years I've done it, and in the 2 years that Kiko has been part of this, that we're right at that precipice. And it is extremely unusual. It's only a very small number of people on the entire planet who have done this.
Wow.
I also want to add something. Actually, I feel also very grateful school organized this chance. We can have the chance to go to New York. So for during the project, I always keep this in my heart. I think, I'd like to contribute and work out that. And because I want to say this, because I'm very...
Sorry, can you repeat because we didn't hear here?
Sorry. I don't know what I say. Maybe it has. I feel very maybe. I feel I'm very grateful for the chance to come to to New York, have the chance. Because I feel I'm also aware sometimes working in the Google Hangout is quite difficult. Also during the process, when I feel a bit very low motive, but I feel I'm very happy because we have my team members. They're working very hard, and also Pedro and the rest people. I think they work more better than me. And yeah, they're working very hard. So it's very good to the end. So I'm also feel I'm happy just because the time is too short. During the New York, I get to know like George and Benki and you guys. So feel when I come back, I feel it's better if have more time to share or spend. So I'm looking forward. Let's see if in the future, we can have a chance to meet up again. Yeah, good luck, and also good luck with Simon for your graduation. Yeah.
I would just love to hear a little bit more of the some of the surprising or the more subtle or the more specific experiences or observations that you have when you were here, and how that is different than you expected it to be. Kiko or anybody else?
The metro was safer than I thought.
Nice.
There were more and louder sirens than I would have thought.
I don't know, the building was or not that taller as I expected. And what was impressive also for me is like New York. It looks like Bucharest, like my hometown. And I love.
I didn't expect that the bartender would be angry at me if I didn't tip for every beer I got.
Thank you.
It's funny, it's culture. I feel I'm in Breda, Holland. I feel I'm a foreigner, but I'm in New York. I'm not a foreigner. Because there are so much, so much different culture, nationalities. I'm just just one number of it.
I felt like life in New York moves at 500% from how we live here, so maybe sometimes you need to slow down.
I'm Spanish. It's in my blood, okay? I'm chill all the time.
Mañana.
Should we ask them?
Yeah. Should we ask them?
And I would like to ask you, how do you feel after you met us and after you had this physical contact with us? How do you feel it? Yeah, because we were all the time in touch, through internet. So when we met there, then something happened, and it was nice. But how do you feel? Share your feelings about it.
Straw waffles is definitely my highlight. The waffles. Straw waffles.
What? The soap apples.
The soap apples.
Yeah. Ming gave us a little gift. And I feel really bad that we didn't give you anything, Ming. I'm sorry for that. I'm really sorry. I still regret it. I will make it up.
But there was this one magical 5 seconds when the St. Joe's group came into the room with the prep group, and it was as if you all jumped off the screen and became live sort of 22nd century holograms. You know, it was an amazing, it was a real magical 5 seconds, because you knew each other, but then suddenly you are in the same physical space with all of the additional senses that the physical space offers.
But I think that that moment got even more magical because then the second-year students came in and they were like, "Hey, hey!" It was even more magical because there was already the history of the second-year students. So I really like that dimension.
Yeah. I mean that moment again. It's a moment that is almost unique in all of human history. That is, in that moment could be many books. And many songs.
In the future, we should think about writing a book, Tom.
Via Google Hangout. John, how go ahead.
We will be going in not so long, but maybe another 5 minutes or something.
Okay. So John, as the elder statesman of the group.
Oh, well, yeah, I had a unique experience from doing the collaboration last year and then being able to do it again this year. And it was probably a little easier because I didn't have to do all the projects, but it was great to see old friends and meet new friends, and it really makes me excited for more collaboration and more projects like this. When you all came to New York, it was really wonderful to see people that I'd seen through Skype and then friends from last year. And it was nice that those connections and bonds were still there. So I hope you all keep that going and stay in touch and keep doing work together. So that's all.
I'll say something actually. In regards to what Tom said, the first 5 seconds, honestly, it was magical because I'll never forget this. Dana comes to me and she's like, "You look much tiny in person than you do on the camera." And honestly, no one has ever said that, and that's the funniest thing that I've ever said. That's it.
It was a compliment.
Or, as for me, Simone said, "You're not as tall as I expected."
This is so important to remember this level of intimacy because people will tell you that the screen is false, the screen is bad, this technology is ruining children and young adults and so forth. You must remember the intimacy that you have achieved here. It's remarkable.
On that note, I'd like to say you guys know how to party. Next time you come to New York, hit me up, Pedro.
Any final comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Till the next time. Till the future.
Bye.
Oh, okay. Oh my God. Okay.